Morning, today's date is March 11th, 2025, and currently present, we're with the road crew, Supervisor Bear Taylor, and also we have a guest, Melissa Haas. And Melissa, you have a concern here, so we're gonna start off with you.
Okay.
Please.
The biggest concern that I have is when the snow flies super hard and how we're gonna get the turnarounds plowed. I understand that you guys are short. We had some massive issues with buses trying to turn around, trying to do snow routes and such when the snow was super heavy. We did do a 2-hour late start and hope that that would give you guys some time. But we still had to, ask the high school to go out and plow the turnaround in Jefferson City. So that way we could get the high school out there. Cause if not, we overload the fire hall, which is part of where the accident that we had a driver that's trying to stay clear of the parents that are lined up and get close enough to the fire hall, and we hit a retaining wall because we slid really bad because there was so much snow. So I'm here to see what we can do to work with you guys to make sure that this is taken care of.
Can I start out?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I think that day was a little bit of a different day than a normal snow day, just because it started snowing early and it snowed and snowed and snowed. Then you guys had a late start. So our guys were up there probably at 6 o'clock in the morning. Did the route, came back, and by the time you guys got up there at 9:30, 10 o'clock, because it was a late start, it looked like it hadn't been plowed. So the fire hall, we don't plow.
I understand that.
So we don't do that. And they had to go in there, which unfortunately they slid and had an accident. We definitely don't want that to happen, but I don't know if it's a communication thing or are you getting in notifications that the high school is gonna have a late in, or do you get that?
I get them because my kids go to the school,
Okay,
but
so that might be something we need to do, because I mean, if it's snowing like that and they go do it at first thing in the morning, by the time you get there.
Right,
And there
but
could
I,
be 6 or 8 more inches there and it doesn't even look like it's plowed, so. I mean, I think this is just.
And there was that day.
Yeah, and I think this is just a circumstance. Normally, we're doing a good job. We're getting your routes done, I think, unless you've had any other complaints. This is really good.
we've had, so I have a driver that comes down from Wicks
Okay,
and she checks the turnaround when she comes in the mornings, and it wasn't plowed when she went through
okay,
the first time. Cause that what we did is we held off. I had several drivers that came in and then we held them until we decided to do the 2-hour late turnaround. By 1 o'clock, it still wasn't plowed to where we could turn those buses in, which is why I called the high school and they sent their own guys to do that turnaround.
okay.
My question is that I know that I gave you guys route narratives at the beginning of the year. Is that not helpful, or what do we need to do? Because I've called the office and I never get a return call back. And the last time that I actually got somebody, it was less than helpful.
Okay.
well,
Sorry there.
real quick,
Just
go
just for future reference, if you get on the website, my cell phone is right on my picture on the Jefferson County website. So if you have a problem in the future, never hesitate to get a hold of me, because if Bear's in a truck or something, obviously,
Right.
he'll probably answer my phone call. If it's an emergency type thing, just for future reference.
And I did that. I gave her my card with my cell phone
Mhm.
number on it, so.
Yeah, same here.
yeah, and that particular storm was a unique animal for us, cause up in that district, we were, running a man down, we were running 2 trucks down. So we only had 2 trucks to plow the entire area, so we were way behind schedule. But I know they plowed it, but I'm wondering if we had a miscommunication with our driver, because he knows they're supposed to plow the bus turnaround up there. I know that road was plowed, but I don't know if the guy that went up there knew about the turnaround.
For which one, the elementary or the high school?
I guess it's the high school, the one that's halfway up there.
That's the high school,
Yeah.
because the elementary goes up to Corbin and turns.
They're all buses to me. I don't.
Right, well, that's part of the reason I brought you guys the route narrative, so you knew which bus was where at what time. Cause I'm trying to make sure that we're proactive in helping you guys know where we're at.
And we're looking at some revamps for next winter to better follow along with those. The issue is just trying to hit so many roads at different times doesn't always pan out to be there right before the bus gets there and we get more snow, or sometimes we have an issue in the shop and they're right after the bus. I mean, every situation for us is a new experience. So we're working on some revamps of our plow routes countywide to better hit the bus stuff. That particular day, I think it was just the amount of snow, the difficulties we had with, lack of plows, lack of drivers, and the driver that was on that route was not one that normally does that route. And so I don't know if he knew which turnarounds to get to. But normally I know they plow it. I know the guy that normally plows that's our assistant supervisor. So he knows every turnaround, he knows every route, he knows when they need to be done. So on a normal storm, normal basis, I know they're getting done. But yeah, that was just kind of a unique situation for everybody that day.
Well, it was not only the snow, but the equipment breaking down, the guy that called off sick.
I
And
get that.
And we obviously have a problem with that road in general, so hopefully this summer we'll have that fixed to where we're not, because we've got.
I know it
drivers-
rattles the teeth out of the driver, yeah.
Right.
we're gonna make it so it doesn't snow on that road.
I'm gonna put a cover on it.
Well, we're lucky enough that the driver that does that particular route has been doing it for quite some time, and she's very good at what she does, and she's got several decades underneath her belt as a driver. So,
So when we have big storms like that, one of the problems we have is sight. And those drivers, they get too close to the road, they're gonna sucked off.
Mhm.
And pretty quick, they don't have a plow, so I think that morning especially, they were hanging tight to the middle of the road. Just because
And
they
they-
couldn't see where
Right.
the linear, where they were, so it ended up being narrow, that's probably one of the reasons your driver didn't wanna go up there.
And they notoriously do that when you're plowing snow. You'll always get a narrower,
Right.
more narrow road. And
well, we weren't sure about the turnaround. That's part of the reason we brought the kids down to the fire hall. Is so that way, if you guys needed more time to get up there to do that, that's part of the reason why we do the snow routes, is that if
Right.
it's difficult to get up there in the first place, that we bring them down to a safer area.
No, I think it's good, I think we got a good system, I think that was just a one-off day, with all the circumstances going on with the county and the amount of snow that we got and the late start, just all that stuff stacked up to just having a bad day. So I think a normal season, we're on it. If you see anything that needs improved, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Just because I'm usually out and about in the morning during storms, but not in the office, and our gal that works out there usually doesn't get in till 7 or 8, depending on the day. An email is usually the best way to get to me early in the morning if we need to adjust something.
Okay,
If I don't have a card on me, but I can grab you one or
please.
send you one. Or I can write you or something, but that's usually the easiest, because at least that's something that gets to me, and I usually pop up and like school bus or something, I'll actually pay attention to it, so. Because
Cause I left several messages and I never got a call back. That was part of the reason I was concerned, is that I felt like there was no communication, and that's really hard. Cause I wanna work with you guys. I don't wanna work against you.
right, and we want to do the same too. It's just hard for, when we're down 2-3 guys on a day and I'm out, 10-12 hours plowing, I'm not taking phone calls.
I understand that.
Busy, and if she's out helping, because she doesn't just work for me, she works for solid waste and weed and central shop, so sometimes she's chasing parts, or she's out helping weed, or if we have somebody calling sick at a dump site, she has to go help fill in there sometimes, so we don't keep our office is not staffed every day at a particular time all day long, so it's hard to get some of that. Like that week, I didn't even return calls to anybody all week because we were just so busy and backed up.
Using a plow most of the time.
All week.
So,
So is it gonna be easier if we designate where we're gonna do snow routes for you guys, so that way you understand where those are at, as well as the biggest problems for turnarounds? I'm trying to figure out my best way to help with this.
I mean, if you can give me a list of what ones you're having an issue with, and what are you considered snow routes? Because
So
same page there.
When Corbin is a prime example, when we have a ton of snow during that time, what we do is we bring the kids down to the fire hall.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it's one of the central locations where it's easy for the high school to get in and out. It's easier for the parents to get in and out. And then I have talked to Grace down at the fire hall, and she let me know where the parents can park. So they're not gonna go along that fence, they're gonna park out further where the, close to where the trucks would come out, but down towards the bottom. That way they can get the trucks out if they need to, but then if we have high school kids that are driving, they can park down there and the vehicles won't be in the way.
I never heard of that plan.
Yeah, I've not heard that myself, and maybe we've talked about it and I forgot about it, but I mean, we're 99% of the time, it's up there and plowed before the buses are there and it's plowed out. So unless we're having a unique situation like we had a couple weeks ago, I don't see why we need those. But
Well, we do that so that way if we have the problem that we had with the
Yeah.
amount of snow,
right,
that's why we do snow routes, just like Montana City, here's another prime example. If it is super bad and we have a ton of snow, we don't want the bus to go clear up to Muddy Dog. Turn around. Cause we go up to Summit Stables and turn around at Muddy Dog. So what we do is we bring those kids down and we stage at Saddle Mountain. Right there, and the kids will come down, because we don't have a ton of kids at the top. But it's a central area where most parents can bring their kids and it's safer. Because being out on that road is, for lack of words, dangerous for most of the kids. That's why we don't cross there either. So we'll bring the kids down to Saddle Mountain, turn around. And let them pick up kids and take kids off the bus right there. So that way, that's our snow route.
That might be something we need to get with us and kind of get a feel for what a snow route is and what terms of the storm make it a winter storm where you're gonna change.
Yeah.
Where you turn around,
Only factor.
'cause, yeah,
Because we work really closely with the schools and let them know, hey, we can't get up there right now. Please bring your children down to here. And that's what we did. And we've done that with Connor Klein. We've done that with Mr. Mikesell throughout the year. We actually, and there was several conversations had with Mr. Mudry and Mr. Wilkerson and myself. So that way we knew everything. Because a lot of times if I get the chance, I'll go drive those routes before we even send a school bus out, because of the fact that we want to make sure that we can get those buses in, get them turned.
so we're probably gonna do the whole route anyway, but if we know that you're not gonna take the buses all the way to the end, we could probably have more time to get those alternate areas
mhm.
plowed out a little better than what we would just driving by it, so. We're gonna have a communication about that, where, how can we communicate when you guys decide there's too much snow to get up farther?
And you guys can call my cell phone. I didn't bring the card in with me, but I'll run out and get it at any time. I mean, my phone starts at 5:30 half the time and ends at 11 o'clock at night. So
Okay. Yeah, I think just a little better communication, we can solve most of this.
yeah.
So I just want to make sure that we work with you guys. I don't want to work against you.
No, we appreciate that.
As long as you don't call me in the middle of the night.
No, that's not the
Mm.
process.
But
I hope not. I hope
there's-
nobody's calling me in the middle of the night, but it happens.
If there's something that you guys are seeing or, you know, like if you decide, hey, there's a lot of snow, I think we're gonna need to do a snow route, shoot me a text and say, hey, we're doing this, or have you guys done this? And then I could just let you know, hey, we've already been up there, it should be okay.
Okay.
Because kid safety is important to us too. We try to do everything we can. Some days Mother Nature just wins. And so Mother Nature and Murphy and everybody else is fighting against us, but if I don't know, we don't know, say, hey, you're doing a snow route. Well, we're gonna just keep doing what we're doing, and to us, we're doing, everything's fine. Because we've not had a situation other than that last storm where my guys have called and says, hey, we're getting to these roads late. So everything that I'm hearing and seeing is that everything's being plowed and opened and done the way it's supposed to be done.
So I do know that when we had that flash freeze this year, I did call the office and ask them if we could sand up Jackson Creek.
Yeah, and they were up there.
And we actually got a bus stuck because it was so icy.
Yeah. But I
So-
know we also had sanded it, we got a call. So sometimes sand's not, for lack of a better term, not saying this is the way you're applying, but a lot of people think sand is a magic pixie dust, and it just, sometimes there's nothing we can do.
Right.
And we try. sometimes we put out sand and they want more sand and more sand doesn't do any good either. But I know that we were out there on that because I remember that call. Yeah, but yeah, just shoot me a text or an email is usually the easiest because I'm either driving or in a machine or doing something. So if I don't know who's calling, I'm not answering. And
Well,
if
mine's,
it's not
it's a
important,
541 area code, just so you know.
but if it's not like a critical matter, you know, what,
If it's not critical, I'm not gonna call you,
Right.
but my concern right now is just that these kids are on a bus that can get turned around without somebody getting stuck, and the reason why is because when those temperatures dip. You know as well as anybody else that it's not always gonna hold that heat unless you got your foot in that engine, because it is diesel.
Yep.
So frostbite is one of my concerns with these kids on these buses.
Is the fire chief in Jeff City more open to making that the bus route or the bus stop now? Cause the last chief, that's why we got away from that place is to.
I talked to Grace, and I think if it's a snow route and it's an emergency, then yes. And Grace has been phenomenal. She's worked with us. We went over a bunch of different stuff. I think that working with her is gonna be a major asset to
Oh, yeah.
all of us, including Harlow's.
Mhm.
So I'm very excited to work with Grace. I think that making sure that these guys are taken care of and that we actually have an open form of communication is a big thing, because nobody wants to see something happen to one of these kids.
Absolutely.
I guess I would ask the question towards Bear. I mean, I understand solid waste is supposed to be plowing that out by the fire hall. In a tight situation, or like you're saying, as for lack of a better word, emergency or for a
Mhm.
different place to load and unloads. Would the county be up to doing that, or what are your thoughts about that?
so doing,
In other words, as an example, when I know this one happened, I met solid waste heading towards Whitehall, so I know they were gonna go down there and plow. Cause they're the ones that usually plow in front of the fire hall.
Mhm.
well, they plow out their sides, they plow out.
But I
their
don't
city
know if
fire
they
hall.
did it that morning.
They did.
They did not. I have, no,
Yeah.
this
I talked
is,
to Mike, they were out there about 6 o'clock, I think he said, but by the time
this is at 1 o'clock.
by the time they went down and came back, he said there was another foot of snow.
Okay, so he was down there first, okay.
But that's like I said, that storm, we plowed roads in the morning, that by lunch, there was another 6 to
So
10 inches. of
you
snow.
know, or we can ask, like, in other words, does he go there first? That's his first
I
place.
don't
to
know
look?
his
I'll find
first,
out.
you
I
know,
don't
it
think
depends
so.
on the day, if that site's open that day, if it's not open. he's not gonna
Oh,
plow.
okay,
Cause
okay,
you know, Montana City's the only one open 7 days a week.
okay, so he doesn't follow,
Yeah.
okay.
And the fire hall isn't a priority either. He'll do his site, then go to another site. And when he comes back, it's everything done. He'll
Yeah.
come back and do the fire hall. And
Okay.
that's in the agreement with the fire hall. So
Hmm.
definitely, the fire hall won't get done first if we have a big event.
Cause I remember talking to him about plowing that out, cause I got after him for plowing snow out into our road. And, said that they had plowed it first thing that morning on his way to Montana City. He stopped it at the dump site. He said he came back to the fire hall later that afternoon, or Troy had, and he said that there was at least another foot of snow on top of what they had already plowed.
So we're just gonna figure out, maybe with Grace, if it becomes a snow route that morning, what can the road department do in her parking lot to at least get the bus in there and get the bus out of there? Whether it's push it through once and then go on their route, or that's something we can talk about this summer.
Okay,
Try to get a
cause
plan for,
I can tell you at 1 o'clock, there was so much snow that. I mean, these are the pictures. I'll show it to you. This is the retaining wall that we hit because of the fact that we were trying to move over, and there's a ton of snow.
Right, yep.
And my biggest concern is that if we don't, then we're gonna have a catastrophe. It's gonna be awful.
yep. No,
One of these
that's
kids are gonna
exact-
get hurt, or if we're lucky that retaining wall was there.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We had no idea the fire hall was an alternate pickup spot. That is news to me, and I'm pretty sure it's news to Bear. So if we'd have known that was an alternate, we could have maybe had the solid waste guy do something in the parking lot so it was easier to access it when he was there. Or let Bear know, hey, they're not going to Corbin up to the normal turnaround. They're gonna be at the fire hall. Let's push some snow around there so you're safe. You know, it's just the communication thing, so. I
So-
think we can make it work, whatever.
We're
So I
gonna
throw
have
this out
to.
every resident and truck driver and anybody that ever says anything about driving in the winter, is tire chains are an option.
We put every single bus we have has tire chains. We made sure of that this year.
But do they use them?
Yes, they do.
Cause there's been a lot of times my guys have called after seeing buses spin out. So they want that.
So I can tell you that right now, I made sure that every single bus has a pair of chains in that bus, and every single bus has a pair of chocks.
But I'm just saying that I've had guys where we've had complaints of the buses having issues turning around. And they've gone out there while the bus was still there and said they did not have chains on. So I mean, just because they're on the bus doesn't mean they're going on the tires.
Then I will talk to the drivers about it, but if they see
Just
that,
throw
I
out
need to
to
know.
everybody.
Get some automatic chains on those things,
They're too hard.
are they?
Because a lot of times what happens is, it's the same thing as when you use your brakes in the winter time.
Yeah, they stop. I suppose.
They freeze. And then you have to try and break them loose. Well, nobody wants to be underneath that bus when you have a full load of kids trying to break chains loose. That's why we use the ones that we do.
Tire chain, gotcha, makes sense. Good.
That's
Yeah, we'll
also why I
definitely
have
do-
the guys that I have in the shop, because they go out and it doesn't matter if it's 2 AM or 3 AM or whatever, they'll go out and they take care of the drivers and make sure that those chains get put on if they're having problems.
We'll definitely do everything we can.
You might
We
ask
just need to
Connor if
know.
he's got any questions while we're in this discussion.
Connor, I'll turn to you. Do you have any questions that you might want to ask?
Yeah, I have a few. Melissa, I could ask them now, or if you have time, I'm not sure if you're leaving now, if you'd rather just pop over to the office and I can ask, but I can definitely shoot them off now if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead. If the guys have
Um,
time.
Okay, so some of them sort of reveal my own ignorance, so I apologize. I just where exactly was the firehouse where this happened? Is this Jefferson City or
Yeah, it's the Jefferson City Fire Hall.
okay, Jefferson City Fire Hall? Okay, when did this happen? What day?
That was the Tuesday, let's see, Monday was a holiday, so the Tuesday after the massive snowstorm. I don't have the date off the top of my head, I apologize.
Okay, that would have been February. Oh, the Tuesday after President's Day?
Yep,
Okay, very good. Okay. And so was there, I realized, okay, so the fire department is a designated second location for children who live on what road that is difficult to access? Is it Corbin Road?
Corbin and Wicks, Corbin and Wicks.
Corbin and Wicks Roads, okay. And there was actually an incident where the bus slid, correct? That is-
Correct.
Okay. And did it slide? Did it make contact with the retaining wall itself?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And how many children are sent to this location in the event of an emergency snow route?
So when we have that emergency snow route, I called Mr. Mikesell and we went ahead and sent all of the kids that we have at Corbin and Wicks at that moment to that standard location.
Okay.
As well as I talked to Mr. Mudry and Mr. Wilkerson, and they agreed to have the high school meet there as well.
Okay. So that stop services JHS and Clancy Elementary?
Correct.
Okay. Very good. And there's no estimate on the number of students between those two schools gathered there?
Not off the top of my head, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. And so listening in on you guys, the solution just seems to be having a bit more, more closely coordinating on mornings where there are dramatic weather events. Is that a fair and correct description? Corey, Bear, Dan, Craig?
Correct. Communication's key.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Pre-planning always helps too. We'll get that figured out.
Good, okay. And Melissa, I guess my final question then would be, do you feel that area schools are properly assessing weather risks when making decisions on whether or not to cancel a school day? I'm a bit of an outsider. Is it necessarily common to, if you have a major weather event in the morning to have this snow delay and send the buses out anyway? Maybe that's sort of an impolite question. That's why I didn't want to ask it.
No, you're good.
That's probably.
So I lived here and I lived in Montana, in Oregon. And I will tell you that the communication between the bus barn and the school, I feel is pretty phenomenal. I can call any one of the principals at any point in time and ask them what they think, and it doesn't matter if it's early in the morning. I've been very privileged to work with them. And they let me know what they think because I don't always see what's on the other side of the hill. So I have Connor Klein over there.
Mhm.
And he'll be like, nope, I have a driver that's, or I have a teacher that's here. This is where it's at. This is what's going on with this part of the county. I have a driver that lives over there. She will call me at 4:50 in the morning and be like, hey, it's snowing super hard here. And then we check the roads. I have the same thing for drivers that live in Clancy, Jeff City, and then I have drivers that live on the side of the hill who live in completely different areas. One of my mechanics lives out for the valley route and can let me know whether it's plowed out there. So I feel like we have really good communication with the schools right now. And
Okay.
it is common to try and do a 2-hour delay if the weather is super nasty.
That is, okay, that is reasonable. I think maybe that's reflective of my own poor driving skills, because if there's like a few inches, I pretty thoroughly retreat. So, yeah, sorry guys, thank you for letting me, pepper some questions, and, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Okay, we have anything else?
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think
We
so.
just
Good.
need to improve the communication, we'll be fine.
Okay, sounds good.
Like I said, I don't want to work against you, I want to work
No,
with you.
absolutely.
I just want to make sure that my buses, my kids, my drivers are safe because I don't want an accident. And I don't want that heated filled conversation with a parent because something happened that we could have avoided.
Sure, yeah,
Sounds good.
and we don't either, we want to make sure everything's good, so.
Because that is a check my body cannot cash.
For sure.
Yeah, we'll just work on improving communication and on both directions. If we're having, you know, if we foresee us having issues, I'll try to communicate that as early as possible as well. So if we do have a truck go down at the end of the day or something, we can,
Yeah, if you let me know, hey, we cannot get out there, I will ask them to do the snow route. That's not a problem. But if I don't know what's going on, then I can't.
yeah, we'll definitely, and like I said, we're working on reevaluating all of our plow routes and trying to figure out a more efficient way to get to them. I think Boulder's the only one that we've really made any major changes to in the last few years. And I think that was working pretty good, but I know Whitehall's a fiasco. Up north, I think we do okay, but we can always do better, so. But we'll get it figured out, we'll make it work.
If you have a, let me borrow your pen, I'll give you my cell phone.
Okay, I'll let you guys settle up on that. Anything else, Melissa, on your part or Bear? If not, we'll move on to your weekly meeting report.
I think she's got some minutes. Dan. Do you have
Oh,
minutes?
oh, yep, thank you.
Yes, I get you.
Okay, this is for the road and bridge report as of February 11th, 2025. Have a motion?
I'll move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Well,
I've had one in there, probably.
Yeah, we'll run it late, so we got some time. You can go get one.
That's before, right?
Yeah, 541-821-42. And these are, part of these are for Craig, so that way you can see where offices go. Or those are Montana City.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay. What we're here for.
Good to see the both of you.
You don't have to buy two.
Huh?
You don't have to buy two.
Oh, I miss working with those guys. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Thanks, Melissa.
Bye, Connor.
It used to be this back for me years ago.
How nice. Well, I mean, after 2000, before 2000. Well, Ronnie was here?
Yeah.
I'll blast through the rest of this pretty quick, so Mike, I told Mike I'd try not to go over my time today, apparently lied.
No, that's beyond your control.
That was not you.
It's all good. something we need to fix. So we definitely know we have a lot of shortfalls that we need to rectify, and eventually we'll figure out how to do it.
Yep.
But-
And then a new
And then I'll retire.
bizarre storm will show up and we'll have to figure it out again.
Yeah. No new real constituent issues. The only calls I've really had was, just somebody letting us know about a culvert that was getting close to freezing, but it's already been taken, resolved itself. A couple questions on some roads and ownerships just for realtors, so nothing really going on right now. We did get out and spot blade Corbin last week. I think it was doing pretty good. I haven't been back up there today, but last I heard it was still doing pretty good. So we did get that new water line service in our shop installed last week, so we got water in there again. And I've been doing a lot of tree trimming, some other yard maintenance. So Boulder, we had a burn pile down the valley. We had to get finished burning. The weather kind of put us behind on that, so we got that done last week and got that all cleaned up and back to looking good. It was on some private property, so we wanted to make sure we didn't leave that a mess. Had a bunch of equipment down the valley and down in Elk Park that needed to just come home, so we got a bunch of equipment mobilized the other day. And then working on a lot of equipment and shop maintenance just this end of season downtime, just trying to get caught up on some housekeeping. Same goes with Whitehall. We got a lot of trees that we cut down over the summer that we stockpiled on the sides of roads. So they've been out cleaning that up on their downtime, and then some shop maintenance. Easton's still kind of in and out with some recovery and doctor's appointments and stuff. So we've been running a little shorthanded down there, but Jim's been doing a good job at staying busy when he's down there by himself. So. Just some other highlights or topics to talk about. I mentioned last week about a violation letter from DEQ that we had received for the permit up in Montana City. Had a meeting with them yesterday. Doesn't sound like it's going to be a big issue. All we really need to do is just update the permit to encompass everything that's been done outside of the scope of the original permit and have some sort of a reclamation plan in place. We don't have to change what we're doing up there. We're still going to be allowed to stockpile and utilize that property up there. We just need to make sure that the materials that we could foreseeably stockpile or any use that we may use that area for is encompassed in that permit update. There's one little section where we had pulled a little bit of material off of the slope to mine just for some fill, and we need to throw some topsoil on that and seed it, but we have some topsoil here in Boulder that we pulled off of the whitetail, so we should be pretty good on that. So I just need to get with Great West and have them work on updating that permit for us, because that's not a process I'm going to be doing.
Did you figure out if we're within our boundary?
Well, so the original boundary was only like, I think the permit was like 3/4 of an acre. So the area that's been worked is about 9 acres up there, so we're far outside that scope. But we are still within county property, nothing that's been exceeded there. So that's where the amendment comes from, is just basically looking at expanding the work area of the permit and then the uses and reclamations of that permit. So he wasn't worried about it. He says the timeframes are not a big deal as long as we're working with them. So shouldn't be any kind of major issue. It's just getting that updated and redone.
Do you know when the actual permit was?
1983, I believe is when it was originally done, and that's when the original mining operation was done. And then I think after that, you know, whether it was new supervisors and crew or whoever, they just, oh, well, we've pulled material from there, and they just kept going and nobody knew. And he says they've seen it a lot. It's not a unique situation.
Sure.
So they've heard about this quite a bit. So like I said, it shouldn't be any kind of issues though. He was pretty positive on the fact that we were willing to work with them and just get it resolved. And
Yeah, DEQ usually really good to work with.
and as far as what we need to do, there's really nothing major other than just getting some topsoil and seed and erosion control on the one slope. I did ask him too, because we've talked about, those of you that have been up there, the access road from the lower shop up there. When we are hauling material up and back, no matter how many signs we put up, we do get a lot of residents that still walk that road. That it's pretty scary just having one truck, let alone if there's somebody there. So we've talked about the idea of cutting that uphill bank back enough to widen that road out, you know, another 10, 20 feet. So it's 2 trucks could pass, you got plenty of room to turn, seat visibility. I asked him if that would have to be part of that permit update. He says no, because that's our road, that we can control that. It's from the end of that road into the pit that will be in the permit, so. And that may be something we never do or something we get too soon. We don't know, but
Sure.
just something to help improve the safety up there. We've got some new signs that just came in the other day that are stay on trail and some, I can't remember what other signs we ordered, but to try and keep people out of our work area. So, on those permits, I got another one here, whether you want me to sign it or the chair wants to sign it. This is another permit we had up there off of Jackson Creek. Reclamation's all complete. They're just trying to close out these old permits. This one again was from the 80s, I believe. So they just need a signature from us saying that we're ready to release the permit. So I don't think it needs a commission signature. I just didn't know if you wanted to, so. I can
You wanna
sign.
sign it, Chairman? You wanna have Barrett sign it?
I think here in this case, you're on top of it.
I don't know about that.
I think that only makes sense.
Yeah, use me as a scapegoat. It's all good. Then the Helena Forest Service, Warm Springs Maintenance, Corey wanted to have a conversation about that.
Yeah, and this is nothing we have to do, get into, the nuts and bolts today, but what we got going on is a constituent up there trying to get maintenance done, and we've been doing maintenance just out of the kindness of our heart, I guess, because we don't have an agreement with the Helena Forest Service for that part of the road. So, I talked to the Helena Forest Service and she said she would meet with us together as a group here, or she would talk to us. But she said she had reached out to the landowners up there with the, ability for them to permit themselves to be able to work on the road, but she never heard back from anybody, so. That's kind of where we're at right now. It probably wouldn't hurt for us to all to get together with Kathy and the Helen Forest just to get their take on what they're gonna do on the north end.
Yeah, it'd be
Roads are-
great to have a meeting with them.
Okay.
Do you know what side of is it on the Warm Springs side the resident was, or on the Strawberry Butte side, or?
I'm not sure which one she was referring to as far as sending letters. It may have been.
Well, I mean,
everybody along
the
that.
contact you had from the.
That
resident.
was the guy right up on top.
Okay,
Of Warm Springs. I think that's about where we turned around when we. did our
yeah,
road
so I was
tour.
just wondering which side of the road he was, or that summit, he was wondering about was it from there out to McClellan or the Warm
No.
Springs down?
I think they take Warm Springs down.
Okay.
He said there was a big washout there this summer, and we
Yep.
drove up there, and I don't remember seeing that.
There's a culvert that's washed out.
Maybe that's what he's
The end of a
talking about.
culvert washed out, we notified Forest Service and, they says, well, it's not in their scope of work for this project, so we'll go fix it. And then the guy that I've mentioned before that I've had some issues communicating with, tried to say, no, it's their problem. And I said, no. I says, if it is, we need to figure this out. And I says, who's gonna fix this? And then we never had any more communication.
Yeah, and that's what the guy told me. He talks to us and we say it's the Forest Service. He talks to the Forest Service and they say it's the county and back and forth. So
Yep.
trying to
So-
get us together so we can give them a good
This is
answer.
where that ongoing, every time I bring up that we're supposed to have a Schedule A with them, and right now we don't. And so
Yeah.
legally, we're not supposed to be doing any work from the Middle Fork up. But we do, because we're not just gonna strand those residents that we've been historically following out and taking care of until we get a resolution. The last meeting I had with Kathy, they were supposed to be setting up a meeting, not just sending out a letter. She was supposed to be setting up a meeting with all those residents from Middle Fork to McClellan to say, hey, here's the history, here's the status, here's going forward. And it's not road, so we can figure out what we're gonna do.
Okay.
I'll be interested to see their take or what they're able to do with some of the current
Cutback.
budget and cutback issues, because we have so many hundreds of miles of roads we're trying to maintain. We can't go up and maintain roads that aren't ours.
Right.
So unless we're getting that compensation like we were agreed upon, we're gonna have to let the residents know, and they're gonna have to figure it out.
Right. Okay, so I'll get a meeting set up with Kathy, maybe like a 9:30 meeting or something, or a 10:30, somewhere.
We can
Either
just make
before or
the-
after your normal road meeting.
We could even just make the road meeting longer if we need to. and
Okay,
however
I'll figure
it
out what
works.
works for them, and
Yeah,
it'll be good to get a gist of what they can provide and what they can't provide.
yeah, they do
And
know
it's
we
probably
have.
kind of up in the air right now
It might be,
on any of it.
but if we can get a Schedule A, at least we can say, yeah, we're legally able to be on this road doing what we're doing.
Yeah, and so I do know we have BBRD is coming in on the first at 9:30, I believe it was, to meet about that schedule and some other topics, so,
Okay, cool. I'll get with Kathy and get that scheduled.
yeah. It was on the agenda.
It's,
Or-
yeah. that's
Well, I
1
mean, I
hour.
emailed you about it, but.
Okay.
I just kind of put on here the policy procedure manual updates and some of the stuff, and I mentioned last week how I've been working with LTAP and they have some.
Good language.
Their language out of their model. I don't think we need to go through and, I don't know, maybe it'll be easier just to take theirs and adapt it. It's just something we're gonna look at. You know, I know we just redid ours a little over a year ago. It's better than it was, but there's always room for improvement. Me and Dylan kind of got talking about it yesterday because we would like to essentially get a letter put together with the commission's backing to notify residents, especially in subdivisions, about the right of ways and who has, one, responsibilities and what allowances we have for going in within our right of way in a subdivision and removing trees and trimming trees, because that is an issue for us. And historically, we've just kind of gone out and gone door to door, but we would like to be able to just go in and do our job and make sure the residents already know that, hey, there's a tree in the right of way, it's a problem, we got to go do something about it. But, so just an update there. We are scheduled to do our interviews tomorrow for the Montana City position. We have 2 candidates, we'll be meeting at 11 and 12, and Craig, you're still gonna be able to be there.
I'll be there.
So we got the 2. I did have another guy come in yesterday and pick up an application. That says fill one out. I don't know what will happen with this round, but we'll see. So I do know they both were qualified, so that's a good starting point. And then just kind of a recap, me and Dylan both went to a training last week. It was a leadership training put on by the MSU Extension Office. It's their trailhead supervisor training. It's a new program to them, but it's the umbrella program is a 3-part course, I guess. So the trailhead is their initial, like, new supervisors, helping get them started. There's a lot of personality training, different things like that. They said later on this fall, they'll probably be doing their second step, which they call switchbacks, which would be a 2-day kind of more immersive course for that next level of implementation and more advanced or intermediate supervisor training. And then they're hoping next spring to be doing, I think they called it the summit, which would be a week-long, like fully immersive in a hotel, kind of like an executive retreat, kind of advanced level supervisor training. I don't know how far up that will go. It depends on cost and timing and things, but I will say me and Dylan both, when we talked about it yesterday, kind of recapping with each other, because we went on different days. Really great program, a lot of great information. Took a lot of notes and a lot of topics and ideas we're going to be kind of throwing back and forth and see what kind of changes we can make to help improve our day-to-day operations, our efficiencies, but also, just the cohesiveness of our crews and our teams, and really try to take a step forward. I think there's a lot of good information that could be utilized on a county level, some ideas and stuff. So I'm going to come up with some topics and ideas that we'll discuss for countywide. That's really all I got for today. I'm trying to think of more to talk about, so Mike has to sit there long.
I can walk labor and industries to your shop.
That's fine. I don't care.
No, it wasn't nothing new.
They don't scare me.
Commissioner Kirsch or Commissioner Goodwin, did you have any feedback from anyone or any input?
I don't, Mr. Chairman.
The only thing I had was you had that customer asking about the snow getting pushed across Martinez Gulch Road up top. Did you guys ever get up to look at that? I know you don't do any of the snow.
I did get back up there. It was early last week, I want to say, or the Friday or Thursday before. I can't really remember. It was last week. I was looking for some of the stuff for the encroachment for Steve. And I got up there and most of that snow had already melted off. It was too hard to see.
And there was no problem with it melting off, obviously.
There wasn't any water cutting ruts down the road or anything. I mean, it could be a potential issue. I definitely agree, but I also don't know what we can do about it. But, this goes back to the whole discussion on Martinez is who has jurisdiction for code enforcement. And,
Right.
you know, cause that is a Montana state law that it's illegal to plow snow across the public road or right of way. So that's the easiest conversation is they're not supposed to plow it onto or across to any public right of way. They're also not supposed to plow it back into any form that would create a drainage issue. It clearly states that, you know, you're not supposed to plug culverts or block ditches with your snow either. And so that's a state law. It's something that could be enforced to them, but who and how is the question.
Okay, perfect. As long as it didn't make a mess up there, I was assuming I would have heard of it if it was cut.
Yeah, yeah. No, it didn't cause any visible damage that I could see at that time. But you know, it is always a potential issue. And for me, it's the biggest issue is the safety side. If somebody leaves a big berm of snow that starts to melt and freeze on the edge of the road and somebody hits it, you just ran into a giant boulder of ice.
Yeah,
And that's a problem. But you know, even the little berms across the road, when you hit those a day later with the snow plow, you might as well just hit a 3-foot rock because it hurts.
Yeah.
It causes damage.
I emailed Mike up at Elk Park and I have not heard back from him, so as soon as I do, I might have to call him. I don't know if he doesn't check his emails or got thrown into spam or something.
Yeah, but just let me know.
Very good.
Okay. I'll get out of your hair for now.
Thanks, Bear. Appreciate the good work.
Oh, I don't know if it is.
Ever figure out if Missoula passed their?
They did not. I
The
did.
road levy?
I meant to tell you, I looked that up a month or so ago and they removed that from the ballot because there was some other hot topic item going on and they were afraid that there were enough angry people that if they put both of them on there, it would cause problems.
Gotcha.
So it was removed from the ballot at that time.
Good to know.
Well, so it's for next year.
There you go. Thanks, Bear.
Okay, have fun.
Connor, this ends this meeting. The next one is gonna be solid waste. Are you guys